Firespray. I was pretty close, actually.
Firespray.
Spray.
That sounds like what happens after a night of promiscuous sleeping around, doesn't it?
So it just sounds like something that Gillian McKeith would end up prodding around a Tupperware.
Right, we're not talking about that.
You see, you've got Firespray.
Hello and welcome to Faster Horses. I'm Paul Wilshaw at Paul Wilshaw on Twitter, and these are my co-hosts Mark Sutcliffe, which is Mark's out of 10.
Hello.
And Nick Tomlinson at NT Illustrators.
Hello.
This is Series 3. But if you haven't heard of Series 1 or 2, you can check those out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find us in loads of places. Now you can get this extended version of the same episodes early by signing up to our Faster Horses Patreon, as well as one extra Patreon exclusive episode a month, along with other benefits detailed on the sites. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really does help the show, and also follow our official Twitter page at Faster Horses UX for regular updates, find show topics and interesting articles and random musings for the team. Also, if you want to give us feedback, send us some feedback. Now, without further ado, let's go on to the show.
This will all be quite nice. You're looking very dapper already, Mark.
I know.
Got out of bed 4 minutes ago.
Really? I mean, I guess that's the benefit of always dressing well, isn't it? That even when you phone it in, you look better than the other two sods in the call.
Yeah, if anyone's watching this now, Mark is wearing his pajamas.
Yeah, this is what I sleep in. Collared stairs and all.
Yeah. I know. Hello, Coco.
Sleeping in braces. Morning, Coco.
Yeah. Morning. That's nice.
What does she want?
Oh, that's cute.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
She just got up. So,
No, I've been playing with my toys.
Oh, you've been playing with your toys? Oh,
Me too, Coco.
Yeah.
Look, they're just behind you.
And then
Yeah, I've been playing with my Lego.
This is my beatbox finger.
Like it.
Playing with my toys means keeping them in the
means
packaging, though, and just sort of
sat there
admiring
looking
them at a
at them.
distance.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah. She's trying to listen in now.
No.
She can't hear. Hey.
Hello, Coco.
That goes back over there, never to be
You
touched
just
again.
decrease the value by at least £50.
The acids in my fingers have ruined the printing on the front of the box now.
You've just taken £10 off the value. I just
Might as well open it, don't I?
Oh God, I've been every year. I kind of do this. We always get like a Lego advent calendars around the house, so we all kind of have one each.
Oh, nice!
And then every year, I kind of look at them and like look at the prices. And last year's go for like £80.
How much are they new then? I thought they'd be quite expensive.
Like 25
Really?
quid.
Oh, is it because it's exclusive stuff?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because you can't get it after.
What is it? Is it just the minifigures, or do you get like little cars and stuff to make?
You get little cars and kind of like you get. Don't put my hood up. You get kind of like vehicles, and you get like a scene basically with the minifigures as well. So it's quite nice.
we have
we have
a Christmas Lego set that we put out.
Ooh.
Is our version of a nativity scene.
Yeah.
No,
you make it yourself?
It's an actual Christmas set. It's like a Christmas village set.
Yeah.
What we then choose to do is to incorporate a load of other stuff there and turn it into some horrifically violent scene of tragedy.
I love that.
Yeah. So am I?
There's a really nice Christmas set. It's a bit like a gingerbread house, or like a Scandi sort of Christmas house. It's really nice.
Yeah.
And I proposed to Drew that we buy that, and then every year at Christmas build it and put it out somewhere. And that has sold me on trying to run it past her again, I think, because I think that's
Yeah,
a really nice idea.
Do it.
Do you build it every year, Mark, or
no,
is it do you just lift it out of the box? And
we should build it every year, but no, we're lazy bastards. We just kind of break it into 3 or 4 parts, and then each time we put it together, it is slightly more decrepit than the year before because 1 or 2 pieces has fallen off, and we can't quite remember how. I don't know where the instruction booklet is, to be honest.
I really like that idea. I like the idea of it kind of growing and mutating every year a little bit.
Yeah.
You get like a different figure in it.
I think last year,
awful.
Yeah.
Because I collected the Lego Castle set. I can't remember the name, but Lego Kingdoms or whatever it was called. And there was
that's it. Yeah, nice stuff.
And there was a turret in there with a cage. So I appended that to the roof of one of the houses and had Santa in the cage. So we'll probably end up some variation on that thing.
I want that now.
We used to have a little house out, and before Coco kind of like got really messy, and we used to kind of like different seasons would have different things. So like Halloween, I'd have like all spooky stuff, and Christmas. Then it turned Christmassy, and in the summer we'd have like surfer people. So it was nice, and then Coco just piled loads of drawings and things on top of it, and lost some pieces, we archived it.
Nice
to the
while it
loft.
lasted.
Oh, but that's great. Yeah, but if you've lost some pieces, that's when you start making it your own because you fill it in with some other stuff. You should do that. That'd be like. Do you reckon, would she be interested in it now?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. She, I have to fend her off from playing with my Lego.
There you go then.
She, I found, I've got Slave 1 over there, and I found some random Lego pieces inside Slave 1, which was...
You're not allowed to call it that anymore, are you?
No, no, you're not, are you? They've
what's
changed
its name
it.
now? It's something really forgettable
what
and crap.
What this is talking about,
But I don't know what they've called it. I'm going to
John
now.
I think, is it... I can't remember. Yeah, what was it?
It's something really crap.
Yeah.
It's like from Starburst or something. Firespray. I was pretty close, actually.
Firespray.
That sounds like what happens after a night of promiscuous sleeping around, doesn't it?
So it just sounds like something that Gillian McKeith would end up prodding around a Tupperware.
Right, we're not talking about that.
You see, you've got fire spray.
A bad case of fire spray. Rub some yogurt onto the end of it.
Oh, it's the American term for gallstones.
Right.
Yes.
What's today's topic?
Today's topic is
it time to rethink packaging design?
I think it is.
Let's have a ponder. Yeah.
Oh, let's do that then. Let's rethink packaging design.
I'm just Googling how much packaging plastic is used.
Oh, we're coming at
the old single-use
stuff.
stuff.
Okay.
Well, it could be, or the design of it, or everything. Because I don't think the packaging design has changed hugely over the last 20 years.
Not in mass manufacturing, certainly. I mean, that's probably a reason why it's a lot of it's mass manufactured. I'm assuming as well, without doing any research, which is absolutely staple of the show, that a lot of the same places make packaging for a lot of different companies, right? So the same factory produces packaging for a lot of different companies. So they're in control of all that, I imagine, to a certain extent. God, sorry, it is not even 9:30 in the morning, and as Mark has filled us in, we've only been away for about 20. How long has this been going on for? 10 minutes and 4 seconds. So we've only been away for 11 minutes and 4 seconds.
Speak for yourself. I've only been awake just after 5 minutes. I think that this is a massive subject. I think packaging, because I think there's accessibility in packaging
Yes.
design, which I think fails hugely in loads of kind of like dimensions. Small font sizes. There's labeling and stuff like that. Like I'm vegetarian, so kind of like, so if I buy a new product I've not had before, I'd probably stand in the aisle looking at it for about 10 minutes just to determine
that's it.
what
That's it.
ingredients are in it. Yeah, I kind of like healthy things. I kind of like the red light label stuff, the red, green, blue. But then that is ruined by per 10 servings. I think you had a kind of Coke yesterday, Mark. Other brands are available.
Yeah, I'll put one.
So, yeah.
Other brands are available
Yeah.
when they don't have Coke.
And it's kind of like, the serving sizes, and kind of like, when do people, kind of like, oh, if you have an eighth of a Kit Kat, that's kind of like 25% of your
and
daily
you have to do
intake.
the quickest maths to.
I know, and like, you might as well just not bother.
Yeah.
Kind of like just soup is a good one. You have a carton or a package of soup, and you kind of like, oh, a fifth of the pack is your daily
Why are you
intake.
talking about my Kit Kats?
Why am I talking about your Kit Kats? They're not yours exclusively, Coco.
It's like the Queen. Swans, all swans belong to the Queen. All Kit Kats belong to Coco.
She's like Google AdWords. You put a keyword in, and she pops up. Good. I'll stop talking about Kit Kats now. If you leave me alone.
Well,
okay.
I think that is a really interesting question, the whole label thing, because you're absolutely right. I think my brother's girlfriend's vegan, and the quickest way to identify whether something is vegan or not isn't with a vegan label, but it's when you have to check the ingredients and you have to see what's highlighted in bold, because those are potential allergens. And it just so happens that in the Venn diagram that is ingredient listing, the vegan stuff or non-vegan stuff, and the allergens tend to be the same thing. So apart from soy.
So a lot of vegan stuff.
No,
is
the opposite.
An allergen.
So yeah, if it's got milk or dairy of any kind, it tends to be highlighted in bold. So the easiest way to find out is not by any kind of vegan specific labeling, but by looking at what's available, looking at what's in the ingredients. But there's a more interesting one now, because standardization is, there isn't any. It's fucked when it comes to this sort of thing. It takes fucking forever to get any kind of standardization, and now a lot of companies are starting to introduce carbon counting, where your packaging, your product will tell you basically the impact on your so-called carbon footprint.
I don't believe that that's accurate. I reckon that's bullshit.
What's that?
That a company's carbon emissions.
Oh right, I thought you meant the fact that they're trying to do it. It was like, am I just being whistleblown?
No, global warming's bullshit.
Well, it's just an extension of that old. I mean, climate change question is another one for another time, but it's an extension of that old. If the company puts it on the packaging, it's no longer their responsibility. It's up to you to make that decision.
Yeah.
And that's a misappropriation, I think, of the problem.
There's and on labeling and stuff like there's a nice advert. I think is it Bisto or something like that. Gravy granules, and
the gravy granules are available.
And it's kind of like this, kind of like a grandmother of a family, and she's blind, and she's got a braille sticker on the gravy tub to know it's kind of like Bisto or kind of gravy and things like that. And you just think, like, if that's the advert? Why not just incorporate that in your packaging? Full
So
stop.
they don't have braille on their
They
packaging.
don't have braille on the packaging, so they have to have a sticker. But then they advertise it in a way that, kind of like, and she does all this cooking, and but she has to have
How
braille
funny would that
labels on
advert be if it
cartons and things
turned
like
out
that.
that the only thing she got right about that recipe was the use of the gravy granules, or it did in fact turn out that she was like making strawberries and cream?
Yeah. she was actually making a sauce
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sushi. so,
Oh, that's amazing.
so, I know. But yeah, and it's just like, and you find it a lot in kind of like advertising, and they go kind of like, I think Persil and a lot of laundry detergent are doing it now, kind of like, and they say like, oh, we source, our plastic in our bottles is renewable. Then you see the small print on the text, and it's kind of like 40% of the packaging is like from renewable sources, and you think, well, that's not what you're saying in the advert. If you don't read those small print, and it's all kind of like, it's so.
That's the art of advertising, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? But
this is the thing that really, I'm going to go off on a rant here now, but this is the thing that really fucks me off about like companies doing this stuff and people praising them for it. They're not doing it because they care about the environment or they care about blind people or people with any disability. Or they're doing it because you care about those things and they want to increase or retain their market share by appearing to give a shit, and people talk about them on social media and buy their products. They're not doing it for the right reasons. They're not doing it because they want to cut down their emissions or the carbon footprint or how much plastic or paper they're using. They're doing it because you care about those things and you're looking for brands that embrace your personal beliefs about these things.
Yeah. I do think kind of like boards do care about this kind of thing and kind of like leadership, but then changing that whole culture
I think in certain businesses definitely, but I don't think the leadership and the boards of Nestle give a shit about any of that, because on the one hand they're reducing a soup, they're putting soup in cardboard containers on reducing the size of the container by 25%, but on the other hand they're like cutting down entire forests in Argentina to make like rapeseed oil or whatever. Like they don't care. And there's always, however much companies like this do stuff like that, it's good. Obviously it's good in like a gross total, but it's always done to the least amount they can get away with. It's not the maximum they can do, because there's always so much more they can do than what they're doing. It's like when they bring out like refills for the plastic bottle that you've already got. So it's like a washing up detergent or something like that. And you buy the bottle the first time, and then the second time you buy a refill and you like add water to it and put it in the existing bottle you've already got. And it's like, well, they're still made out of plastic. You still sold me the first one in the first place. And the reason that you've not made that bottle smaller is because if you did that, your bottle would be smaller than everyone else's on the shelf, and that would run the risk of people buying your competitors over yours. So again, it always comes down to capitalism over like cutting down plastics and saving
for now until such a time as it becomes more lucrative somehow to be environmentally valid.
Well, that's it. That's when the scales tip, isn't it? That's the only reason it would work, when people literally boycott things where it's like, if your bottle is any bigger than this, then we're gonna stop buying it, basically.
And then even then, again, the onus is on the consumer. The responsibility there is on the consumer rather than the organisation itself.
Yeah.
Which it shouldn't have to be that hard, should it? In UX design, we talk about a lot of kind of like giving the consumer choices, but also kind of like taking the complexity and those choices out of kind of like, so you only give them choices when they need to. And yet packaging does not do any of that good UX design or anything like that.
Have you ever seen that famous video of the guy trying to open the new milk carton on like Australian TV?
That
Have you
video
seen
is
that?
brilliant.
It's so good. That is exactly like perfectly sums up like design versus usability or user interaction, isn't it? It's so good. I'm not sure what you'd have to Google, like listeners at home, to find that, but it's something like it's on a talk show, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
and he spends about a minute fighting with this milk carton.
Yeah, so if you Google, for example, revolutionary milk carton demonstrated on Austrian TV, that's the video. It's absolutely incredible. And by the end of it, he just ends up like cutting the edge of the corner of the carton up and just pouring it, doesn't he? And it's just like absolute. Like, did you not try this backstage before you came on TV with it? It's amazing.
You designed this and then didn't put any milk in it until the night before it went on air.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's it, isn't it? Like, they'll have done all the maths, they'll have done all the like modelling and stuff like that, but probably at no point did they actually fill it with milk and see if it poured. Yeah.
I was watching I think it was Netflix. It was Impossible. It was Baconeering. And what they did, they combined engineers with bakers.
Yeah.
And like some of those, they kind of had to make robots out of cakes or things like that.
That's fucking television, is it? Right, okay, go on.
Yeah, that is television. It's kind of family-friendly television. But wherever they fell down on those kind of like engineering processes, because they never tested it. So they just kind of built something and then all of a sudden they expect it to work. Yeah, I know. Well, they're kind of like, where's the testing? But anyway, going back to packaging, I think there's a massive dishonesty in packaging, and like crisp packets are kind of, and a lot of it is about shelf presence, isn't it? And crisp packets are a real dishonest product.
It's interesting. Yeah, go on.
And just kind of like you've got a size of it, and I think that there's a bit of nostalgia about crisp packets and kind of how much you used to have in a crisp packet, and now you only have like a tiny amount because the price kind of has stayed the same over the last 20 years, but obviously costs to manufacturing have gone up. So to keep the price the same, sizes have decreased, but packaging hasn't, to give you that kind of sense that you've got the same amount you did have 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that's a real dishonest.
Do you remember when it went around that people suspected Cadbury's cream eggs had got smaller, and Cadbury's came out and said, it's not the eggs that have got smaller, it's your hands have got bigger.
Yeah.
And for like a couple of years, people were like, "Oh, it's because his hands have got bigger. We're not children anymore. It's because our hands." And then someone was like, "Oh, right. Well, I found an old cream egg in the attic, and you're lying because it's fucking massive."
It's like an ostrich egg.
Yeah, wheeling it in like UX Tombola.
It was. I kind of turned over and there was kind of like a history of chocolate on, I think it was Channel 5, and I watched like 2 minutes. Well, because that's about
all you could take.
The airtime that I can give Channel 5 per year. And it was about Toblerone and the size of Toblerone. And interestingly, Toblerones now are massive, aren't they? But originally, when they were first made, they were really tiny because they were a luxury chocolate. And they cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I remember them being luxury. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really hard to get hold of as well. That's why you only ever got them in the airport on the way home from holiday.
Yeah.
Toblerone tax.
But then kind of like sizes. Now you can buy like a bloody 50 quid Toblerone.
Yeah, you could literally
I-
kill a man with a
Yeah.
Toblerone.
Yeah.
You could beat like an intruder to death with a Toblerone,
That's
and then
it.
eat the evidence.
Eat the evidence.
I've not thought
No,
about this before,
no.
honest.
Just,
That's
oh my
what
god,
I'm gonna say.
hilarious! But yeah, and it was all to do with the markets and the size of the packaging and things like that. And I think
Yeah.
we still do that a lot. And it's it just bugs me the dishonesty of the packaging now, and or the naming of stuff like you can get like Snickers fun
Yeah.
size and kind of like
What's
you know,
what's fun about
kinda
less
like, you know,
chocolate?
or
Or like a Snickers sharer, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not a
Yeah,
sharer.
you
There's
just
just two of
split
them
it in
in the
half.
I
packet.
know. Oh,
Yeah,
which
I've
Which
got a
are-
knife at home. I can do that myself. Thanks.
and you have like snack size and things like that, just to kind of like just so they can put them on offer and make them.
But what's the full size
Yeah,
one? That's a
that's
meal,
the
is it? If
serve
the snack
four.
size is a snack. Yeah.
I think
Family
there's when it comes to the crisp packet thing, you know, the air in crisp packets, I think there's a really interesting thing that's arisen out of that now, which is that people will go for crisps that are, you know, rather they won't go for deflated crisp packets, because that tends to be
Yeah,
indicative
yeah.
of crushed crisps or.
I was going to say, do you think that helps the actual shipping of the
I
crisp if
imagine
there's air
that,
in the
to be
packet?
honest, I imagine that might be
Yeah.
why it's they do it in
do
one
it.
part, and then
Yeah.
or why they started off doing it, and then as time gone by, it's like, oh, conveniently we can keep the same amount of air and just take out a few crisps every time, and no one notices. Till eventually you get three
Yeah.
in a pack.
Or one big one?
I find this whole thing. So dark UX. We'll have to do an
We will.
episode on dark UX.
Yeah.
Oh, I could talk about that all day, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of packaging design fits nicely into dark UX
Yeah.
and that kind of subterfuge. I thinking of going back to the crisp packets. One of my favourite crisp packets on Twitter was somebody had one crisp in the packet.
Just one massive one.
One massive
Oh,
crisp.
I just made that joke,
Yeah,
but
of
that's a
course
real
it
thing,
is.
apparently.
That is a real thing.
Do you know
and you
that's
just
how...
think-
Oh, sorry, Paul, go on.
No, I just think kind of like, you know, and like someone, so the disappointment. I got one crisp.
I don't know how I'd feel about that. Like, what would you do? Would you break it up back into the packet and then eat them again?
I don't know.
Like-
I think nibble around it, I'd say.
Just, yeah, like
It
chipmunk
depends,
or something.
because
Yeah.
how big is big, and is it one of those situations where when you have something on that scale, it starts to go a bit funky somehow? It starts to go like if you, I'm trying to think of something similar, but occasionally you'll be very tempted when you go to buy a fresh apple, which I know everyone does very regularly. You would be tempted to go for the biggest and the reddest. But typically, I mean, I remember my dad did this once. Got this really big, bright red apple, took a bite into it, and the thing was fucking rotten. And that's why it was so red.
Filled with maggots. That's why it was so big. That's grim.
So, you know, I reckon that kind of thing might happen if you had, I mean, a potato the size of your head. That's been made into one crisp.
It's just a head that's covered in mud.
Yeah.
Someone who worked, one of the field workers was involved in a terrible accident. Talking about giant crisps,
Yeah.
segue. Did you know that's how cornflakes started originally? That's why they're called cornflakes. You used to get one huge like flake, and then you'd break it up into the bowl and then cover it in milk.
Yeah.
That's why they're originally called cornflakes. And they were invented by an American religious fanatic who invented it to stop people masturbating. That was his logic, apparently, to keep their hands busy.
I mean, think about it. He's dedicated more of his time and money to the masturbation question that any man reasonably has in his life.
See, I would argue that all of human endeavour contributed to by men is some kind of tactical way to stop themselves over masturbating. In the entirety of human endeavour is a series of stratagems concocted by men to stop them masturbating,
just to keep,
their hands busy. So, the Apollo space missions are just a bunch of men,
and
just
that's why.
what can we do?
Why
what can we
all
build?
rocket ships are so phallic.
Take my mind off it. A huge penis and blast it into space. So anyway, bringing it back on topic. So I don't know if this is topical, or if it's technically to do with like the UX of packaging. But something I've noticed quite a lot recently is if some packaging is not recyclable, the wording that they've started to use on packages now is not currently recyclable.
Yes.
As if that's our fault for not figuring out how to recycle this. But it's all right. So sorry, guys. We'll figure this situation out for you as soon as we possibly can. But you keep pumping out this non-recyclable plastic, and leave it up to us to solve the problem.
I feel like that's kind of blame on local government or central government as well, and kind of like your recycling plants are not fit for recycling my products.
Not the other way around.
Catch up with my with my products and things like that. And it's weird, isn't it? Because like what you were saying about kind of like getting apples and things like that, and like 50 years ago, packaging wasn't like this whatsoever.
Well, it was all made out of paper, weren't it? Like,
it was all made out of paper. Or kind of like you'd have fresh fruit and veg and things like that, and you'd be able to choose and see exactly what you were buying. But then over the last 50 years, we've kind of like, in a short space of time, filled our bloody planet with like shit that's going to live longer than generations.
I mean, this was a headline my brother said to me over the table yesterday evening, so heavy citation needed. But apparently, microplastics can now kind of go from your bloodstream into your brain. It's been observed in rats that microfiber. No, that's glasses cloth. Have been conditioned, but microplastics are now able to. Well, not now able to, but we found that they're in our brains, which is great. But the other side of this, to play devil's advocate, is that plastic is still better at preserving our food than paper was, and especially when you're in developing countries or countries with just less kind of money about, shall we say?
Infrastructure.
They absolutely depend on these things, and we have to remember that it's kind of our privilege as people in the first world to turn around and say, oh, well, we had our time with it, but you can't use it when you're developing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but there is one philosophical question, which is, how do you open your blister pack with the scissors inside?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I bought this pair of scissors because I need to cut things open, and now I need a pair of scissors to cut this open. Oh, the hours of my life I've wasted ranting about that exact problem. But what are they? What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Why have you put them in that packaging? Is it? Are they? Do they have to do that because the scissors? Do you have to put them in like difficult to open packaging?
Because I don't think so. Because razor blades tend to be really, really simple, quite easy to open packaging, for example. I think it's just because vacuum forming is a very easy way to package stuff.
It's a very easy way to get them in the packaging. Not so much.
No. But obviously, that part of the process wasn't considered.
But it should be. That's the thing. Like any product should I don't know. It just the manufacturing process predates the idea of
Yeah,
UX. I think,
and a lot of people, I think, when it comes to the UX of packaging, well, there just isn't much consideration for the journey. There's consideration for the packaging itself, but it feels like very few people, and I think it's starting to change now, but very few people, when they're in product design or in packaging design, think about the process from the factory floor to being regularly used by the user, by the customer.
So this brings me on to the point I was just about to make absolutely expertly. So have you guys got any fairly recent examples of a good packaging open experience in terms of UX?
So my favourite, and this is quite simple, is when you get books or anything like this, and you just pull the tab. It's all made out of paper and cardboard. You pull the tab, it rather satisfactorily rips down.
Oh, yeah.
Open it up, slide your book out, and then you just throw the cardboard away.
Is that like the Amazon packaging?
I don't get my
never
books from Amazon. I get them from Waterstones, typically. So one conglomerate over another.
I think there actually might be the same thing, mate, because I'm pretty sure Amazon started as the home delivery branch of.
I know they started off as a book service, but yeah, it'd be just my luck if I'm like cognizantly trying to not give Jeff all of my money, and in the process proceeded to give him all of my money.
I'm pretty sure they're probably still in bed with each other because they certainly were. Amazon.
The other side of this, so that's one that's I think is quite user friendly. But there is a bookshop in Manchester, an independent bookshop called Queerlit, and it specialises in queer literature. And so I got a couple of books delivered from there. And whilst it was perhaps not as intuitive, it was actually far more delightful. Because what had happened is they'd wrapped each book in tissue paper and had branded stickers and stuff like that. And I think there was a handwritten card just saying thank you for ordering. Oh. And so I think you've got the spectrum where opening that, it was pretty standard from a usability perspective, but because it had those personal touches I was invested in as someone who chose to shop at this independent bookshop. There was a considerable payoff for me. And each book they gave me free stuff with it as well. So each book had like a bookmark in the front of it already and stuff like that, all themed around queer literature. So I'd say usability on one hand is good and important, but I find a lot of delight in certain experiences.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of naked products. And again, going back to no
explanation needed.
Welcome to After Horses After Dark. 3 minutes to 10 this morning.
So I am going to explain this a bit. So kind of like I buy shampoo bars, no packaging necessary, and they come as kind of like a solid disc of like, and then you just rub that in your hair. No plastics. Similar things with soaps and things like that. I'm a big fan of kind of like Lush, and you kind of go in, you can smell, you can kind of like, it's a sensory experience. And you kind of know what you're getting as well. And, you know, they kind of make things look nice and have that kind of like sensory, and kind of like, it's good for Coco as well, because she goes in and they put a bath bomb in like a sink and you can kind of see it and test it out. And she goes, woo, let's have 50 bath bombs. And then like £900 later, you come out. But that's good. But I think I've noticed credit cards or especially the challenger banks have started doing Apple type packaging, which is nice. And you kind of open it and it slides either way, and like you pull one end and it gives you a nice like message and kind of like promoting the service, and the other side's the card, and those little touches I think are really nice and kind of give you this kind of like sense of belonging to a brand over, kind of like the boring, the dull packaging, or the packaging that you can't read the text because they put pink writing on purple backgrounds, and it's just think about those things. And I was reading the Co-op released a new version of their design system. It's all out in the open. And they say as part of their testing, every 5 people they test, one has to have a disability, which is really nice to kind of like, think about, if it, and kind of we've said this loads with accessibility in the past, if it works for those people who have a disability, it works for everybody. So why not just do that by default? And those kind of things are really nice. And I like the physical, the tactile stuff there. I think Apple have testers on their packaging, and it has to open within a certain amount. It's like optimum like 20 seconds or something. So when you pull it open, it drops down and it's within 20 seconds. So it gives you enough time for anticipation, but not too long for kind of frustration.
I was going to use Apple probably as my example because recently I can't think of anything that I've found particularly good UX or delighting on packaging, but my brain always goes to Apple because it is one of the best. And I was going to say, like, when you open a new Apple product and you lift the lid up, and the inside of the packaging, like slowly, because of the vacuum created in the packaging, it slowly falls out and then drops on the table. So apparently they designed that in. That's like an intended method of opening the packaging. It's not just something people have figured out by grabbing the lid like idiots and lifting it up and it dropping out. They actually do that on purpose because it safely like cushions, like you say, it's the nice anticipation of it dropping out, but it's also like a safe way of opening the packaging. If you just lift the lid off, it just like drops out and potentially damages whatever it is you're opening. But they do that on purpose because the more risky stuff, like some of the newer phones and stuff like that, don't do that, or they do it much, much slower because the risk of it dropping out could damage the phone. They design more of a vacuum in the packaging. I think that's crazy. That's like taking the process to extremes that you could only really expect from a company like Apple. That's why like the people who try and do what Apple do will never. You can copy the aesthetic, which a lot of people do. Like I was watching was it like a Samsung advert or something last night, and like it always looks like if you buy an Apple showroom on Wish, it's always there. It's like the uncanny valley of Apple. It's almost, you can see what they're trying to do, but they'll never get there, and it's because of things like that. The copying. They're not innovating. They're not thinking. They're just looking over there and like taking notes. It's like copy Apple's own work, but make it look like you didn't cheat.
Oh, I did earlier in the year. I did have another nice packaging experience. I brought a new TV, and what was quite nice about it, the packaging became the way to handle the TV, so you didn't put your fingerprints on the TV. So they had the sides of the packaging became kind of like handles to put the TV on its stand and then lift it onto where you were going to put it.
What brand is it?
Samsung. But when you said that, you reminded me of it. But they had handles on it, and it kind of then you kind of revealed it away to. And the packaging was all functional, which I thought was a really nice twist.
That's really cool. That's actually reminded me of a good example, but being disappointed. So quite recently, I bought a Super 73 electric bike, and I was looking at people unpackaging them on the internet, and they were majority of the examples were in America. And one of the unpackaging videos, he did it from obviously from the box, and I was really impressed with how they'd done it. So the package was in 2 pieces, and it was the bottom piece with the bike sat in it, and then the top piece was the cover that went over the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was a bit like a giant Apple box where you lift the top off, and the hand holes, they had 4 hand holes, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and in the hand holes there were plastic inserts, and you pull those plastic inserts out. So those are your hand holes. You pull them out. It's got plastic inserts so you don't hurt your hands on the cardboard. Pull those out, and then that just frees up the entire box then to lift the top off.
Nice.
And then one side of the box folds down like a drawbridge, and you just wheel the bike out. And I was like, that's amazing. They've thought about that whole process for the user on the other end to open this big, cumbersome bike by themselves, because they might not have someone that they can lift the bike out with. They might live by themselves, or they might be might have some kind of disability. So I was like, that's ace. I can't wait to do that and film it myself and talk about it, because it'd be some nice content. When the bike came to England, the first thing I did was set my cameras up and stuff, and I was like, right, where are the handhold things? I was like, they're not there. And I looked at the packaging. It was just a box where I had to cut the top open and unfold the 4 things, and then get Drew to help me lift the bike out. And I was like, why the hell have they done that?
Yeah.
And from what I can tell is they've got European models, and it's either for some reason a different box for the European model, or you only get the nice unboxing experience when you buy the most expensive bike that they do. And the one I got was one of the lower ones. I thought that was really disappointing. So shame on you, Super 73. Oh, and my bike's broken
hell, that
as well.
lasted
So
long. That lasted all of 10 minutes.
Yeah, the battery's knackered on it. It keeps switching off as I'm crossing the road in front of wagons.
That's good.
So that's good.
Furiously pedalling.
Yeah, not getting anywhere.
Shit. So it's almost UX Tombola time.
Oh, UX Tombola, it's time to see what's going on inside you and me. UX Tombola.
I think I'm going back to bed. Mark Steeler, look after
Sorry
this
to
one.
anybody's ears.
Nice. Oh, it's good. So, who's got the Tombola machine?
It's in Nick's spare bedroom as usual, or as we call it, my room.
Mark's room.
My room.
I'll just lean off into it if you want to get the sound effects ready.
Yeah, it's ready.
Right. Yep.
Right, ready?
Yep. You gonna spin?
Yeah.
I don't think once this has gone off well. It's like some kind of temporal shift, because it's always delayed.
I think you need a bit of kind of oiling on the.
It's
on the
oil,
machine.
my Tombola.
It's a bit stiff to start with, I think.
Well, it is only 10 o'clock.
That's it.
And it's perhaps we need to Mr. Kellogg needs some solution for that.
I'm just leaning in, getting the piece of paper.
What are we talking about today?
So today's UX Tombola is the UX of a shark.
The UX of a shark.
Ooh.
I'm immediately going to go in with the old James Bond shark. Well, not James Bond's shark, but the villainous kind of pool of sharks that for some reason James Bond villains insist on having.
With freaking laser beams on their heads.
And I want to understand that decision-making process where the most effective way to kill a spy who may or may not come through this door is a pool of sharks that is for the most part covered, and for just such an occasion, exactly, and the management that's needed to maintain exotic animals within your lair which is either in a volcano, which arguably a bit too warm, or the Swiss Alps or something, arguably a bit too cold.
Yeah, well, you've had to ship in all these sharks. I mean, it's just the very ostentatious lifestyle of being a Bond villain, isn't it? It's like, it wouldn't surprise me if you had a well-maintained pool of sharks in your apartment, Mark.
Well, I don't expect you to listen, Mr. Bond, Mr. Tomlinson.
I expect you to die.
It's in, the whole Hollywood has villainized sharks in general. And
I was watching this thing on Netflix, right? And there was a guy who was talking about Jaws, right? It was a psychology program or something like that.
Oh, nice.
It was fucking hilarious. So this guy is talking about Jaws and the way that the music like reacts with your brain or something like that. And arguably Jaws, the most famous theme tune of all time. If you say Jaws, 9 times out of 10, someone will start humming the theme tune, right? Everyone knows it. Everyone's heard it. So he's talking about the Jaws theme tune and how it has this effect on your brain. And then he goes, so you hear that initial tune, and he goes, and I was like, that's not the Jaws theme tune. He sung it like, obviously it's much better when he does it, but he sung it wrong. He sung it completely wrong.
We haven't got a license for it, Jeff. So can you just hum this slightly off tune for us?
It's probably, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that were the case, but yeah, he got it completely wrong. Like the rhythm was wrong, and then the note was wrong, and then he went up at the end instead of down. Yeah, I was pissing myself. I was like, you completely just shat all over your point there. Anyway, what the fuck were we talking about? Oh yeah, sharks. Hollywood has villainized sharks. Go.
Yeah. Well, kind of like the Bond villain and stuff like that, and I think
Jaws.
Jaws, yeah. And it's like sharks are not that dangerous, are they? And kind of like there's a whole.
Well, more people are killed by people than they are by sharks by a considerable margin. I think more people die on the toilet than are killed by sharks. But that might be because there's a shark angrily lurking around the corner, willing to bash the brains in. That's it. You never know.
And I like the whole premise of Jaws, while nice as a kind of like a pseudo horror film, any animal in the wild would not exert that much effort to eat some people on a boat and like systematically target the same people over time.
Does he eat them? Like, it's been a long time since I saw Jaws. Is it implied that he eats them because they never find the bodies, or does he just attack them?
I think he eats some of them, but
because
not all. I don't want to give the plot away.
Waste that much time and effort. Yeah. Spoiler alert for a 50-year-old film. I feel like it wouldn't exert that much energy to then not eat the thing.
Well, it's kind of like potato tomato. I'm here. I might as well eat it. Might as well get a lovely little crunchy snack whilst I'm murderizing these human beings.
So a lot of the time that people get bitten by sharks, it's because to figure out what something is, a shark bites it.
Yeah.
But to a soft human being in the sea, a shark bite is a little bit more than
prodding.
Just a... Yeah. To the shark, that's all they're doing. But to a person, it's like, oh, actually, that's my leg off.
My arm's gone.
So I think I put this. I think I put this one in the UX Tombola, and it's because of something that I heard, which is that the great white shark is one of the only creatures on Earth that has never evolved. It's from the point of when it was. I don't know. I mean, it must have evolved to that point. It didn't just materialise.
From the point at which God made it.
Yes, let there be sharks, and
It was
there
good.
were, and it was
There we
good.
go. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's
yeah, apparently
easier
they've
to
always.
explain
Well,
than the
yeah.
science.
Conveniently.
Well, yeah. But for apparently for millions of years, like since the dinosaurs, the great white shark has just been the same. It's never evolved.
Yeah.
It's never, because it has always been an efficient killing machine.
It's not
I thought that
necessarily
was
an efficient
fascinating.
killing machine because there's more to evolution, evolutionary imperative, but not much more, admittedly. But yeah, it's always been perfectly fine in the environment it's in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the interesting thing about that is not too good, because if it was too good, there'd be
Yeah,
nothing
that's it. They
to
would
eat
have
or
extinct
catch.
themselves. I think there are a number of examples of animals who basically killed themselves because, well, yeah, I was just
Humans.
thinking that
The good job of it.
monsters,
Yes, the true
true sharks,
monsters were the friends we met along the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd have been better. The true sharks were the friends that we made along the way.
That should be the.
That's the new Jaws theme tune.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Fins, the shark fins, they're kind of iconic to sharks.
Sorry, I
And they
thought you just segued to talking about people from Finland then, but I'm with you. My brain genuinely said, what the fuck is he talking about? Yeah, right, yeah. Fins on the back of sharks.
Fins on the back of the shark, yeah,
Right,
because they're kind of iconic towards kind of danger in water, kind of like, and the whole things, but more than sharks have fins. A lot of things, and a lot of our engineering comes from
Of course,
nature.
yeah.
I mean, they kind of like boats are upside down sharks, just with the top hollow out, so we can fit in, and it gives that buoyancy and things like that. And it's the symbolisation of sharks is a bit weird.
I mean,
if sharks didn't exist, what would we have?
Everything would be jellyfish shaped.
Too many fish.
Because I mean, sharks hardly do exist now, do they? And many varieties of them are extremely endangered. And it's in part because whenever we see one, we panic and think we've got to shoot it, and sell it. Fins.
People are cutting the fins off to make soup.
Sell the fins on the black market, and when you're approached about it, you say it's a shark. I was frightened. And everyone goes, "Oh, very good. It was a shark. Yes, go and kill 14,000 more."
You spend a lot of time in the sea.
Yeah.
So you've got a number of fins there. You must spend a lot of time sunning yourself within tidal waters, way out beyond like the point of reasonable.
I was talking to someone, and they was telling me that there's a kind of shark, a species of shark now living in the Thames. They've recently kind of. And it's one of those. It's technically a shark. It's actually a fish of quite reasonable size for a river like the Thames.
And it subsists entirely off jellied eels,
like most of London. Yeah,
and fatbergs.
Can you imagine? I'm not surprised if I was a shark and that's what I was living off. I'd want to be endangered as well. Just all. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Horrific. So what can we make instead of a shark? Or
I reckon we take a left turn here, and instead of it being something shark related, I think we should invent something to like give sharks the edge against poachers and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In fact, let's come up with an actual device that can help sharks not get the fins cut off.
I think this was solved in Austin Powers, where they had the sharks with the laser
beams
attached to the heads.
What could you reckon? I was just going to say, could you make a prosthetic fin, but they just kind of bleed to death before you get to that point?
That's it.
Well, I tell you what, we could give them scissors to cut the way out of the net, but just to piss them
In
off,
blister
give them
packs.
scissors
Yeah.
and blister packs.
Oh, it's come full circle.
It rhymes. It's like poetry.
Oh, it's like Tenet, but better. If anyone laughed at that joke, by the way, just give yourself a pat on the back for remembering a thing, which is essentially what callback humour is. I love that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh,
Brilliant.
yeah. Maybe on their fins, we could give them serrated edges so they could like cut their way out of nets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like just mines. You know, like
Just cover the ocean in mines.
There, problem solved. I can't think of any negative side effects from just littering the ocean.
I was
with
thinking
mines.
maybe what we could do, because if it spells certain death for the shark anyway, it might as well be I'll take some of these bastards with me sort of thing, and we just have extremely high impact, high power bombs within the shark's fins.
Shark nukes.
And so when
you've just given them
the poacher lops off the fin,
cuts the fin,
boom, and problem solved. Well, not for the shark, of course.
I guess I like that idea.
Yeah. You've just given Trump a brand new campaign for re-election.
Part of a wing of Space Force or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Shark Force. We're gonna booby trap all the sharks, and we're gonna make China pay for it.
We're going to put them across the Mexican border.
Yeah, that's what America needs: highly explosive sharks guarding the border.
That seems like something that would be responsibly handled. Yeah,
that'll de-escalate the situation.
Yeah,
sharks. You know what we need? Sharks. We got the best sharks. Our sharks are more explosive than your sharks. We're gonna. Everybody says you have the best sharks. I'm so glad that I've not had to do a Donald Trump impression for like
it's kind of
like a year now,
doesn't he? In a sense, I mean,
but I think that makes him more dangerous because he's obviously off somewhere talking to me, but we just can't see it now.
Yeah, he's in his lair in the Alps
with his laser sharks.
Surrounded by sharks. Yeah, explosive laser sharks. I got the best sharks.
Nick, do you do a Boris Johnson?
Yeah.
Do you? Oh, nice.
Just like loads of random.
I'm doing it now. People on the audio podcast, I was making a hand gesture that you may associate with Boris
alternatively,
Johnson.
Associate with Kellogg's cornflakes.
Nice. Yeah, I was making myself a bowl of cornflakes.
Or at least you were making Mr. Kellogg very angry.
Yes. I was all very happy, depending on that side of the equation.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't trust him.
Is that your milk substitute?
No. Oh, right. Well, that's the end of the episode now. Sorry, we're done. Yeah. We're done here.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Paul's ruined everything.
Sorry.
Cover your ears, Arlen. You don't want to hear any of this.
A fucking hatchet job.
That's another episode in the bag. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe on your preferred streaming service and follow us on Twitter @FasterHorsesUX. Catch you in a couple of weeks for another episode, and we'll see you soon.